Hey guys, so in this quick tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can connect your AI agents to almost any software really easily and without any complicated API setups or code. I'm going to show you how you can do this with your AI agents built in Relevance AI, but I'll also show you how you can do it if you're using the OpenAI assistant or Custom GPTs. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video is because for any AI agent to actually become useful to most companies, they need to be connected to their softwares. Specifically, you need your agent to be able to be triggered by their softwares, you need to be able to send data to their softwares, and you need to be able to get data from their softwares. But trying to set these things up through APIs, in my experience, is a huge hassle. It's very time consuming. You have to go through a lot of unclear documentation pages. Sometimes you have to write code, and sometimes you have to go through these API authorization setups. Now, this trick that I'm about to show you will eliminate all of that and basically allows you to connect to almost any software in minutes. So if you're serious about building AI agents, stick with me because this is going to be a huge time saver. So first I'm going to show you how to do this with agents set up in Relevance AI, and then I'll show you how you can do the same with the OpenAI assistant and custom GPTs. If you're using those platforms, do stick with me here because it's the same process. It just requires one additional step. So I'm going to show you the 3 different use cases that I think are most important, which is sending data to different softwares, getting data to your agent from different softwares, and triggering your agent from different softwares. That one I've actually covered also in my full tutorial on Relevance AI before. So I'm going to start with the sending and getting data. So the best way to show you is by actually just giving you an example of an agent. So I just set up a very quick agent, very simple, a lead manager agent. So all I've instructed this agent to do is basically research a new incoming lead. Let's say we get a contact form and we get a new inbound lead with a name and an email, right? Then we instruct this agent to automatically research this lead, get a little bit of data points like a company summary and a lead summary. And then based on that, we're going to write a personalized call script, also using a call script tool. So we basically equipped it with 2 tools here, the lead researcher and call script tool. So you can see a quick example here. It was triggered with an email and a lead name. In the background, it researched the lead and it generated a personalized call script with the call script tool. Now, let's say we actually want to connect this agent with different softwares. For example, we might want to save the data from the lead research in a place, maybe in a CRM or in a Google Sheets in this case. I'm going to use a Google Sheets to save the research data. And maybe also you want the call script, just for an example, we want the call script into a Google Docs and maybe get a PDF out of it. So in this case, we would have to connect it to Google Docs and Google Sheets. Now, if we're going to set that up with a custom API, it's going to be a huge hassle. We're going to have to work with a Google Cloud API, set up all types of complicated authorizations. So that's not what we're going to do. We're going to do it the simple way, which is the following. We're going to give this agent 2 extra tools. So the first tool, we go back to tools. It's going to be our Google Sheets tool, which is going to update a Google Sheets with the newly gathered information. So what we do is create a new tool. So in this case, we say Google Sheets. And of course, we always do have to describe to our agent what these tools do. So we say this tool updates the leads info in a Google Sheet. Now, what we do here, I'll go to the user inputs next. But what we do here, very easy, is we gonna run an API step here, right? Because in Relevance, we don't have a native integration with Google Sheets, right? So we have to run an API step, but instead of running the API of actually Google Sheets, we're going to use make.com. Now, I know many of you are already familiar with make.com. Make.com is no-code automation software, which basically has thousands of these softwares already natively integrated. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply make an API call to a webhook in Make that allows us basically to access all of these softwares that Make already natively integrates with through the webhook in Make. So all we do if we create a new scenario in Make is webhook, and we create a custom webhook. And we can add one here. We can call it, for example, Google Sheet. We're going to save. And what Make does, Make gives us an endpoint, right? A URL here. And this URL we can basically use to send information to. So in this case, we're going to send our research information to this URL. So all we have to do is copy this link, go back to our tool. In the method, we click post and we put it in the URL here. Now, this is literally all it takes. Now, all we have to do is actually send over the info, and that's it. So let's say our user inputs, in this case, are a company summary. This is the data we want to save, right, inside of our Google Sheets. Now you do also always have to add the description of the user input, right? Because your agent is going to fill this information in. So always describe well what he has to put in. So the company summary, in this case, pretty clear, but in general, it's good practice to just describe it well. The company summary, the lead summary. So all we do now, very simple, we go here to the URL params section, and we could just add in the different variables of the information we want to send over to Make. So in this case, we go again. And here in this one, we add in the variables. Now, this is literally the setup. Now, this information will be sent to the webhook in Make. And from Make, of course, we can then connect this to thousands of softwares that they already natively integrate with. You can actually set up a similar system with Zapier. I prefer Make, but you could do the same thing with Zapier. They also allow for custom webhooks where you can send the info and then connect it to any software you like. So before connecting it to our next software, we do have to first do a test run. So Make knows what kind of information or what kind of variables it can expect to receive. So we can run a quick example, a quick test here. So we just run it, and then we're going to run this one with a test value. This is a test run. So we click run all here. You can see accepted. We go back to Make, and you can see the webhook received the data. You can see the company summary, lead summary, and company size. Now we can also use these variables in the next step. So now you can send it to your CRM, to any software you'd like that natively integrates with Make.com. So in this case, we're going to do our Google Sheets. So we're just going to update this information in a new row. Add a row. So I actually have to change. This is exactly why it's such a good thing. Make.com already sets this sort of permissions for Google automatically. It's automatically done for you. Well, if you would do the API yourself, this would take ages and you would have to work with the Google Cloud API, which in my opinion is a huge hassle. So let's, I got a quick spreadsheet here, right, with the 3 columns, right? Just gonna add those variables there. Company summary, and now we could just use the values that we set in this section here. So now it's all set up. I'm gonna turn it on, and now all we have to do is give this tool to our agent. So we're gonna save this tool. We're gonna go back to our lead agent. And we're going to add this tool to our agent. There we go. We're going to add auto run so it can run without approval, human approval. And then we have to just change the system prompt quickly. And step 2, of course, is now going to be update the Google Sheets with the Google Sheets tool. Save changes. And now we can actually rerun it after this step to see if it works. Rerun after this step. You can see now used Google Sheets and it's doing the call script. So if we go here, you can see now it updated our Google Sheet. So that's it. That's how we send data. I'll give you another example now with the Google Docs. So let's say this call script, right, we're generating, we actually want in a Google Docs, right? So we do the same thing, right? We go back, we create a new tool. Google Docs. In this case, all we need is one long text input with the personalized call script that you want to save in a Google Docs. So all we do here is call script input. Again, this for the agent. Input the entire generated call script. Again, we're going to use the API. Same principle, post. Now we have to generate a new scenario for that one. We're going to set up, again, our custom webhook. We're going to add a new one. Here we have our link, which we're going to paste in here. And we have to give it, of course, the param call script. This is the variable right before. Actually, we're going to do one more thing in this one because we want to sort of have it nicely formatted in the Google Docs. So actually, as Google Docs accepts HTML, we're going to put in one more step here, which is an LLM step where we say, please output this call script in an HTML format for a Google Docs document. We put in the variable. We're going to save this call script. We're going to change the name of this variable. So now we're going to use this variable here instead of this one. All right, let's just put in a test to run this. Okay. All right. This is a test call script. Let's try run all. And you can see accepted again. And we got the HTML here. So we go back to make. We run it. Now all we have to do is add our Google Docs. We're going to create a document. We can call it call script. Actually, I'm going to change my account again. Here in content, we just output the call script variable. And that's it. So now we can run it. And we can go back. And we can now give this one to our agent too. So we're going to save this. We go back. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to add the tool. And also we're going to put it on auto run. And lastly, we're going to change the system prompt. Generate Google Docs with the personalized call script using the Google Docs tool. That's it. Now let's try. So again, we're gonna just rerun it after this step. You can see now it's using it. Now you can see it generated it here. So let's see if I can find the URL here. Web view link, this should be it. So here we go, and it's HTML optimized. So now we got a Google Docs with our call script. So perfect. So you can see these are just two examples, but there's so many options in make.com. Now, this is one case, right? Is where we're sending information from the agent to software. Now, let's say we actually want to get data too. So, for example, in this case, we actually want to send back this URL or maybe even a PDF back to the agent. So the person who manages this agent in Relevance AI in the dashboard actually gets that link back there and can open it there. So how do we do this? Basically, we could just set up an API call back to our agent in Relevance AI here in Make. But there's two main things we have to keep in mind. The first one is Relevance AI, of course, doesn't have a native integration here in make.com. So we have to set up an HTTP model, which I'm going to show you in a second how to do that. But second, we can't make a normal API call because we actually have to send this information back to a specific conversation of this agent to this specific agent too. So for example, in this case, I only have one example, but we want this call script to go back to specifically this lead. We don't want it to trigger a new task or a new conversation, or we don't want it to send it to another lead maybe. So we want to keep it in this conversation. And that setup is a little bit different, but I'm going to show you now how you can do that. So basically, we could just go here to settings and go to the API step. Here we're going to copy this, the endpoint. We're going to go back in Make, and we're going to set up an HTTP model. And we're going to make a request. We're going to paste in that link. We're going to choose post. We're going to add in our headers. First header, two headers we'll need. We can find the headers back here. So first header is always this one, content type. And the value is going to be application JSON. Again, the templates I will also share in the description below. So if you don't want to do this on your own, you can just copy it from me. Of course, you will have to put in your own API key. And then the second header is going to be your authorization, your API key. So the header's authorization, and then you just generate the API key here. You copy that, you paste it. You paste it in the value. Then lastly, you go here, body type, raw, content type, JSON. And then the request content, for the request content, we're gonna add here, this request body. Now here we have to make a slight adjustment because this request body is gonna trigger a new conversation. And we don't want to send this information back to a new conversation. We wanna send it back to this specific conversation. So we have to add something here, which I'm gonna show you right now. So you can see here we have the agent ID, right, which tells basically Relevance which agent we have to trigger. But then we also have to let Relevance know which conversation to trigger. So we can just add in here, like comma, right, quotation marks, conversation, underscore ID, quotation marks, and a double point. Then we have to open again. And this. And then, of course, we need a variable here. We need the conversation ID of each different thread. So you might be asking, where do we get this from? Well, our agent knows. So we actually have to go back to our tool. And this is an important one. If you're planning to send information back, you will have to go back to your tool that we just created. Let's say the Google Docs. And we have to put in conversation ID. Right now, your agent will know the conversation ID. So you just instruct your agent to send this information. So you say the conversation ID of this conversation. We can change this here, conversation ID. And we also add it in the param. Then, of course, we have to run it to actually get the variable first. All right, now it ran into an error, of course, because we don't have this yet. But now we can actually put it in. You can see conversation ID. And then lastly, we do parse response. And that's it. This is how we specifically message the agent back to that specific conversation. Of course, in each different conversation, the agent's going to change this. So that's why it's a variable. Now, there's one last thing we have to do, which I've noticed is important, which is we actually have to add a little bit of time in between these steps. Why? Because you can't actually call your agent when it's working, when it's in process. So sometimes there's a little bit of a lag there. So what I've noticed is if you send this back right away, it sometimes triggers an error because your agent is still using a tool. It's still in process. So what I noticed helps is just add a very short sleep module here. So what you do is just 10 seconds is usually more than enough. Let's do 15 just to be sure. Right, so all we do is wait a little bit so we know the agent is not doing anything anymore before he receives the message back. So now we should be good to go. We can turn it on. We go back. I already saved the tool, so we can save the changes here. And let's rerun it. And now we can see if we actually get a message back. Now, it was generated here. The make.com flow was triggered. And now you can see it sent a message back. This is the Google Docs with the personalized call script. So here we have the link and done. So of course, we can also use that information to, let our agent use this information we get from softwares to perform new actions. So that's sending information. And lastly, we have triggering. I do cover that too in my full tutorial on Relevance AI, triggering agents. And it's actually the easiest way. This sending information back is the hardest. So triggering information is basically what we've set up here. Exactly the same. But the difference is we don't need the conversation ID, right? So we could just leave this out. But the rest, exactly the same. So same setup. So that's it. And of course, you can trigger this from any CRM here in Make, from any form or any software really you can imagine. I have one that's triggered by YouTube. And when it sees I get a new YouTube video link in, then it starts repurposing my YouTube video. This is actually my next video. So if you're interested in that, check my next one. It's probably coming in a few days. And good, that's it for this part. Now I'll show you quickly how you can do this for the OpenAI assistant and for custom GPTs. So the easiest way is you basically go back here. When you have created, for example, this Google Docs format or tool, right? We go back to tools, then you click here on new, and then you click on custom actions GPTs. Now, this basically allows us to export this tool from Relevance, which is connected to our Make, which connects to Google Docs. We can import that into the OpenAI assistant in custom GPT. So what we're going to do is here, we're going to select Google Docs. We're going to use basic. We can generate the API key here, and we can generate the OpenAI API schema here. So we copy this. I'll just open OpenAI quickly. So here we are in OpenAI. By the way, this is exactly the same for the OpenAI assistant. So I'll just show you how to do this for the custom GPTs, and you'll automatically know how to do it with the OpenAI assistant. So what we do is we create a new GPT. Where do we do that? Here. Let's say you are Google Docs maker. So that's the description. So very simple one, just to show you how to connect these tools. You make Google Docs from user input, right? So in this case, we're going to click here, create new action. And here in authentication, we're going to click on API key. We're going to select basic API key. So the API key you can find here. You copy that, you paste it in, click save, and here you need your OpenAI schema. You can paste it in too, just like that. And that's it, we can test it. All right, good, so you can see it worked, so we can create it. we can make it, and now we can give it a quick test run. Hi, please make Google Doc out of the text below. Hi, this is a test run for a Google Doc. Let's just actually format it well. All right, let's try. See if our make.com is still running. It's not, so let's just turn it on. Now you can see it was triggered, making the Google Docs. Now, of course, it's going to send it to Relevance AI conversation, but yeah, you get the idea. So this is how you do it with custom GPTs. You can do pretty crazy things with that too. And of course, you can do the same in the OpenAI assistant. So that's it for this video. I hope it made sense and it was easy to follow. You can see the power of this. I personally use this system all the time, even if I know APIs. For example, the Webflow API, they have it sort of in Relevance AI, but I still use this system because it's so much easier. So for me, it's very powerful. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did, highly appreciate it. If you can like and subscribe. Honestly, guys, I'm shocked and honored about the amount of views I'm getting and the amount of likes and comments. So thank you so much, really. And I'm very open to suggestions for any future builds. So let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.